I sat in my corner office 60 floors above Manhattan, reading the email one more time. Parker Industries, my family's company, the one I'd been told I'd never be good enough to run, needed a bailout. More specifically, they needed approval from Blackwood Capital's CEO for their emergency merger. The irony wasn't lost on me. 5 years ago, my father had stood in his office, telling me exactly why I would never succeed in business. "You're too soft, Victoria," he'd said, not even looking up from his papers. "Business requires a killer instinct. Something your brother Marcus has, thank God." Now Marcus's killer instinct had driven Parker Industries to the brink of bankruptcy, and they had no idea that their salvation lay in the hands of the daughter they'd dismissed. My assistant Diana knocked on my door. "Miss Blackwood?" "Your brother's assistant called again. They're quite insistent about scheduling that merger meeting." I smiled, thinking of Marcus pacing in his office, waiting for the mysterious E. Blackwood to deign to meet with him. He had no idea that Elena Blackwood, my mother's maiden name, was actually his sister Victoria. "Tell them I'm reviewing their proposal," I replied, looking at the stack of documents detailing Parker Industries' decline. "I'll let them know my decision about the meeting soon." 5 years. 5 years since that last dinner at my parents' house, the night everything changed. I could still see it clearly, the massive dining room with its crystal chandelier, my mother's perfect table settings, my father at the head of the table like a king holding court. Marcus sat at his right hand, already being groomed to take over despite being 2 years younger than me. Parker Industries posted record profits this quarter, my father had announced proudly. Thanks to Marcus's new acquisition strategy. My mother beamed. "We always knew Marcus had your business sense, Robert." I pushed my food around my plate, gathering courage. "Dad, I've been thinking about the European expansion project. I have some ideas that could dash." "Victoria." He cut me off. "We've discussed this. Marcus is handling all major strategic initiatives now." "But I've done the research," I persisted. "The current plan has significant risks that dash." "Enough." My father's fork clattered against his plate. "This is exactly why you'll never make it in this business. You overthink everything. Business is about action, decisive leadership." Marcus smirked. "Don't worry, sis. We can find you a nice safe position in HR or something." That was the moment. The moment I decided to prove them all wrong. "Actually," I said, standing up, "I quit." The silence was absolute. My mother's perfect composure cracked slightly. My father's face turned red. "Don't be ridiculous," he snapped. "Sit down." "No." I straightened my shoulders. "I'm done being the family disappointment. I'm done watching Marcus get every opportunity while I'm told I'm not good enough." "Victoria, my mother tried. You're being dramatic." "Am I?" I looked at each of them. "When was the last time any of you actually listened to my ideas? When was the last time you saw me as anything but the weak daughter who needed to be protected from the real business world?" My father stood up slowly, his voice cold. "If you walk out that door, don't expect to come back. You'll never succeed without the Parker name behind you." I met his gaze steadily. "Watch me." That night I emptied my savings account and bought a one-way ticket to London. My mother's sister, Aunt Eleanor Blackwood, had built a successful investment firm there before retiring. She was the only one who'd ever believed in me. "The Parker men," she said when I arrived at her Mayfair townhouse, "have always confused aggression with intelligence. It will be their downfall someday." He was right, of course. But neither of us knew then that I would be the one to prove it. Aunt Eleanor didn't just give me a place to stay, she gave me an education. Real business education, not the performative leadership my father preached. She introduced me to her contacts, taught me about market analysis, showed me how to spot undervalued companies. "Your father thinks business is about domination," she told me one night over tea. "But real success, that's about understanding what others miss." When she passed away a year later, she left me everything, including her maiden name and her considerable investment portfolio. Elena Blackwood was born. I spent the next 4 years building Blackwood Capital into a powerhouse. While Marcus made headlines with aggressive acquisitions, I quietly assembled a team of the brightest minds in finance. While my father boasted about Parker Industries' expansion, I developed a reputation for turning around struggling companies. Nobody made the connection. Victoria Parker had disappeared, and Elena Blackwood was too sophisticated, too successful to be the daughter Robert Parker had dismissed. Now looking at Parker Industries' financials, I could see exactly what had happened. Marcus's aggressive expansion had left them overextended. The European project, the one I tried to warn them about, had failed spectacularly. They needed a bailout and fast. Diana knocked again. "Miss Blackwood? Your father's on line 1. He's quite insistent." I took a deep breath, then pressed the speaker button. "Elena Blackwood. Miss Blackwood." My father's voice, once so commanding, now held a note of desperation. "Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to discuss our merger proposal personally. Mr. Parker," I kept my voice neutral, "I've been reviewing your company's situation." "Yes, well," he cleared his throat, "we've had some temporary setbacks. Nothing that can't be fixed with the right partnership." I looked at the analysis on my screen: debt ratios, failed projects, declining market share. Everything I'd predicted 5 years ago. Temporary setbacks? I clicked through the documents. "Your European division lost $400 million last quarter. Your debt is rated just above junk status. And your Asian expansion." I paused for effect. "Well, let's just say temporary might be an optimistic assessment." Silence on the line. "Then, we're still a strong company, Ms. Blackwood." The Parker name means less than it did 5 years ago, I finished. "Your stock has lost 60% of its value since then. Your market share has been cut in half. And your leadership." I glanced at a photo of Marcus from last week's Wall Street Journal. "Seems more concerned with appearances than actual business strategy." "Now see here," my father's temper flared, then quickly cooled. He couldn't afford to anger me. "What would it take to move this merger forward? Name your terms." I smiled, thinking of all the times he'd dismissed my terms, my ideas, my potential. "I'll have my team review the situation," I said smoothly. "But I should warn you, if we proceed, there will be significant changes in management." "Changes?" His voice cracked slightly. "But Marcus has driven your company to the brink of bankruptcy," I finished. "Did you really think no one would notice?" Another long pause. "When can we meet?" I checked my calendar, already knowing exactly when I'd see them. "Friday, 9 a.m. My office." "We'll be there," he said quickly. "And Miss Blackwood? Thank you for considering this." I ended the call, then opened my desk drawer. Inside was a photograph from my last day at Parker Industries. Me standing in the lobby, looking up at the company logo, determination written in every line of my body. Diana appeared in the doorway. "Should I prepare the merger documents?" "Yes." I stood up, walking to the window. Below, the city stretched out like a kingdom waiting to be claimed. "And Diana? Make sure the photographer is ready on Friday. I want to capture their faces when they realize who's really been running Blackwood Capital." The next few days passed in a blur of preparation. My team compiled detailed reports on every aspect of Parker Industries' failure. Every bad decision, every missed opportunity, every arrogant miscalculation. But most importantly, they documented every warning I tried to give before I left, each one proven right by time and market reality. Friday morning arrived clear and cold. I stood in my office adjusting my Chanel suit, simple, elegant, nothing like the flashy designer clothes my mother had always pushed me to wear. "They're here," Diana announced. "Your father, brother, and their entire executive team." I smiled, picking up the folder containing my terms for the merger. "Show them to the main conference room. And Diana, make sure the Parker Industries logo is visible on the screen." "The old one or the new one?" she asked with a slight smirk. "The new one," I replied. "The one with Blackwood Capital's name above it." It was time to show my family exactly what their disappointment had become. I took my time walking to the conference room, letting them wait. Through the glass walls, I could see them, my father at the head of the table, trying to look confident despite his obvious anxiety. Marcus beside him, checking his Rolex every 30 seconds. The executive team they'd assembled, all men cut from the same cloth as my father, all looking increasingly nervous. "Miss Blackwood," Diana murmured, "everything's ready." I nodded, straightening my shoulders. "Let's begin." The room fell silent as I walked in. My father stood quickly, extending his hand. "Miss Blackwood, thank you for He froze, his hand halfway across the table. I saw the exact moment recognition hit him, the slight widening of his eyes, the sharp intake of breath, the color draining from his face. Victoria. Marcus's head snapped up, his practiced charm evaporating. What is this? I set my folder down carefully, taking my seat at the head of the table, the position my father had never allowed me to take at Parker Industries. Actually, I said calmly, it's Elena Blackwood now. Mother's maiden name. Though I suppose you never paid much attention to that side of the family. This is impossible, my father whispered. You're Elena Blackwood? The CEO of Blackwood Capital. The very same. I opened the folder, spreading out documents detailing Parker Industries' decline. Shall we discuss why you're here? Your company's failure, your desperate need for a bailout, your hope that Blackwood Capital might save you from bankruptcy. Marcus found his voice, anger overriding shock. You orchestrated this? You've been watching us fail. Watching? I raised an eyebrow. No, Marcus. I've been succeeding. Your failure was your own doing. My father sank back into his chair, looking older than I'd ever seen him. All this time, while we thought you were a disappointment? I finished for him. Yes, I've been rather busy proving you wrong. Would you like to see exactly how wrong? I nodded to Diana, who started the presentation. On the screen, graphs showed the parallel trajectories of Parker Industries and Blackwood Capital over the past 5 years, one plummeting, one soaring. Your European expansion. I clicked to the next slide, the one I warned you about 5 years ago. A $400 million loss. The Asian market strategy Marcus pushed through. Another $300 million down the drain. We had unforeseen complications, Marcus protested weakly. Unforeseen. I laughed softly. I have the email I sent you 5 years ago, detailing exactly what would happen. Would you like me to read it? The executive team shifted uncomfortably. They'd all seen that email, all dismissed it along with my father and brother. The Parker name dash, my father started. Means nothing without competent leadership. I cut him off. Your stock price reflects that reality. Your market position confirms it. And now. I spread my hands, indicating the Blackwood Capital logo behind me. Here you are, begging for help from the daughter you said would never succeed. The silence that followed was absolute. Marcus stared at his hands, his usual arrogance shattered. My father looked like he'd aged a decade in minutes. What are your terms? One of the board members finally asked. I smiled, sliding copies of the merger agreement across the table. Complete restructuring. New management team. And of course, I met my father's eyes. New leadership. You want to take over Parker Industries, my father said quietly. No, I corrected him. I already have. The board approved the merger this morning. They were quite eager actually once they saw your latest quarterly projections. Marcus shot up from his chair. You can't do this. I'm CEO. Actually, I clicked to the next slide showing the new organizational chart. You were CEO. As of 9 o'clock this morning, you report to my vice president of failed acquisitions. It's a new position. Created specially for you. This is revenge, he sputtered. You're destroying our family's legacy. Revenge. I stood slowly, placing my hands on the table. If I wanted revenge, I would have let Parker Industries go bankrupt. Instead, I'm saving it from you, from Dad, from the arrogance that made you think success was your birthright. My father found his voice again. Victoria, Elena, whatever you're calling yourself now. We were wrong. About everything. But surely we can work something out. As family. Family. I raised an eyebrow. Like when you told me I'd never succeed without the Parker name. Or when you gave Marcus every opportunity while telling me I was too soft for business. Diana appeared at the door. Miss Blackwood? The press is ready for the announcement. Thank you, Diana. I gathered my papers. Gentlemen, you'll find detailed transition plans in those folders. HR will be in touch about your new positions. Those of you who still have positions, that is. You're firing us? One of the executives demanded. No, I smiled. I'm doing what should have been done years ago. Putting competent people in charge. Gender, family connections, and golf club memberships will no longer be the criteria for leadership at Parker Industries. As I walked to the door, my father called out. Victoria, wait. Please. I turned back. It's Elena, Dad. Elena Blackwood. The name that built a real business while you were busy protecting the Parker legacy. The press conference was everything I'd imagined. Cameras flashed as I announced Blackwood Capital's acquisition of Parker Industries. Business reporters scribbled frantically as I detailed the restructuring plans. And through it all, my father and brother sat in the back row, watching their empire pass into the hands of the daughter they'd dismissed. 6 months later, I sat in what had once been my father's office, reviewing the quarterly reports. Parker Industries' stock had risen 60% since the merger. The European division was finally profitable. Even Marcus, stripped of his executive title, was showing signs of actual business acumen now that he had to earn his position. Diana knocked on my door. "Miss Blackwood, your father is here for his monthly review." I smiled, straightening the nameplate on my desk. "Elena Blackwood, who? Send him in. And Diana, make sure he has a copy of the latest performance metrics. The ones showing how much better the company is doing under your leadership?" "Those exactly." My father entered, looking smaller in his regular suit, no longer the imposing figure who'd once told me I'd never succeed. "The numbers are impressive," he said quietly, taking a seat. "You've done what we never could." "No," I corrected him. "I did what you never gave me the chance to do." He nodded slowly. "I know it doesn't mean much now, but I was wrong. About everything." I looked at him for a long moment, thinking of all the years I'd sought his approval, all the times I'd been told I wasn't good enough. "You were wrong," I agreed. "But your biggest mistake wasn't underestimating me. It was thinking that the Parker name meant more than actual ability." He glanced around the office. "Once his kingdom, now my proving ground. Your mother asks about you. Wonders if you'll ever come to dinner again." I smiled, remembering that last dinner 5 years ago. "I'm quite busy. Running 2 companies takes up a lot of time. But..." I paused. "They do say success is the best revenge." As he left, I walked to the window, looking out over the city I'd conquered while they weren't watching. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Monthly department review today. Any chance of a promotion yet?" I typed back, "Earn it." Sometimes success isn't about proving others wrong. Sometimes it's about proving yourself right so spectacularly that they have no choice but to acknowledge their own failure. And as I sat at my desk, signing off on decisions that would shape both Parker Industries and Blackwood Capital, I couldn't help but think that sometimes the best revenge isn't just succeeding. It's succeeding so completely that those who doubted you have to ask for your approval to survive.